I came home from my work trip 2 days early to surprise my wife, but instead found out she was cheating. I recorded everything and ghosted her with no closure. My worst nightmare came true. I'm 28 and I went on a work trip for a week. I told my partner of 3 years, who is 31, that I was coming home on Sunday, but I had actually booked a fly-in. Yesterday I took her out on a surprise date for her birthday on Friday, which I otherwise would have missed. I messaged her to wish her a happy birthday, and asked what she was doing for the day. She replied that she would be having wine and movies with her friend. I asked why. She's a 30-year-old woman who lives in our apartment block. I told her I couldn't wait to be home on Sunday. When I got home on Sunday, she said she couldn't wait, and that she loves me. It's been tough to write and relive this, but when I got home, I parked outside the building and on the street. When I walked through the code gate, I couldn't see lights on up by our balcony. I did see Y's lights on, so I assumed X would be at her place. I didn't even have to go in, as her place is on the ground floor, and I could see through her window that she was on her couch watching TV alone. I figured maybe X was out, so I walked up our 3 flights of stairs. As I approached the door, I could hear R&B music moaning and knocking. The door wasn't even unlocked, and the position of the door when it's open means it's in full view of our bedroom. I just opened the door a little way and saw my girlfriend on top of someone I recognized from the gym we go to. It looked like unprotected sex because I could see everything. I closed the door quietly. I felt like my soul had floated out of me. I knew they hadn't heard me or noticed the door. I sat on the step for about 5 minutes to process what had happened. This has always been my worst nightmare, but to literally have it play out exactly how I dreaded it, another man in our bed, it was too much to bear. I couldn't cry. It felt so surreal. Was this really happening? I suddenly realized what was going on. The sounds kept on going, so I got up and walked out of the building towards the front gate. W had spotted me through the window and called out to me, waving her hand to get my attention. I do get along very well with her, and in the past she has told her ex how highly she thinks of me as a friend. She's also told her ex that she finds me attractive. If I had single friends who were also from New Zealand, we'd have had a connection from the first time I met her. But I've always kept that to myself. I put on a brave face and went into her apartment. We hugged, and she asked why I was home early. I told her. I got my dates mixed up. It wasn't her birthday drinks with her ex. She seemed confused and told me that she said X was going out for drinks with some of our gym friends. I burst out in tears and cried for what felt like forever. She got quite worried, asking what was wrong and if something had happened to me. I was at a loss for words, but I blurted out that I had just walked in on the 2 of them in our bed. Her face turned white, and she just hugged me and started to cry too. She knows I'm a joker, but I think she knew this was no joke. I just started talking out of frustration. I didn't know what to do. They could be up there all night. This was my nightmare. We had no issues in our relationship other than her lack of interest in sex. Once every 6 weeks, it's a wonder I lasted 3 years with her. I accepted that a long time ago. I laughed through her tears and told her she has always been single and not had sex the entire time she knew me. I joked that maybe we could. Both of them used it. This actually made me laugh a bit too. I hugged her, thanked her, and for a second, I forgot the ex was upstairs cheating on me. I asked her if I could stay there for the night because I had nowhere to go. I slept on the couch. I'm still here a day later. I watched the guy leave in the morning and watched in tears when he came back. I'm meant to be home tomorrow afternoon, but I haven't texted X all day. She hasn't texted me either. To be honest, the only comfort I have now is with Y. How do I deal with X? Do I walk up there and interrupt? Do I call top comments? Someone says I am a petty person. I'll wait until they leave then. Grab your stuff when she notices it's missing. Send her the photo and tell her you've been back since Friday, but hated to interrupt her birthday celebrations. You'll be back at some point to get the furniture. Don't let her have it all. My second piece of advice is from 33. 33 is not married. It's over. You'll want a family one day, but it won't be with her, so move on. Thank her. Your parents have always been nice to you, but cheating is not something you tolerate. Get your stuff with a friend and stay calm. Never lose your cool. Make sure you tell her in person. Her response is key. If marriage was ever discussed, remind her that that's gone. Don't tell her what you know. Just pack your stuff because she's not faithful. If she begs you to stay, tell her to write down the timeline of the cheating. If you want to stay, ask her to write down when and where the cheating took place. She'll only want to confess what you know, so just laugh and say, "Yep, they always blame others when they're cornered." Get some boxes. It's over. Stay calm, no matter how much she yells or cries. My advice is to find somewhere else to stay and leave her. Don't even give her the chance to make things up to you. It doesn't matter how many times she cheated. What matters is that she did. You've got your answers, so just get out of there. Either you move out or she moves out. That woman is for the streets. Opie replies, "I think her getting no closure is the best thing I can think of at this stage. I want to." Right, let's go to the update. First of all, I want to thank everyone for their views, opinions, and advice. I'm still trying to keep up with reading the comments, so please bear with me. I appreciate those saying I should have had more backbone or spine. To be honest, I would be saying the same things to someone else. This is my first experience with infidelity, so it is easier to judge until I actually had it. I'll get to what happened today in a minute, but first I want to answer a few questions. I run my own business, and I do it all by myself. I travel maybe 3 times a year to meet with production facilities and do quality checks for my product. Physically, I'm 6 feet 6 inches and 124 kilograms, and I play rugby and have done a lot of boxing, so I can definitely defend myself. However, I'm a lot bigger and stronger than that guy, and we both earn a good living, so splitting the money won't affect either of us financially. We're not married, and I've realized that this is a blessing in disguise. I know what I need to do. We split all the bills 50 to 50, and we have 4 months and a week left on a year-long lease. We have a long lease on the property, which is in both of our names. We had been actively looking for a home to buy, but I guess I dodged a bullet there. I don't know why, but I'm grateful. Aside from her personality, she is also absolutely gorgeous. She has always been single, and I will never know why. She has not been intimate with anyone in over 3 years. According to X, she has been on my side through it all without saying a cruel word about 10th. She understands it was wrong and that it has nothing to do with her. She has said that eventually she will tell Wansex. She will probably stop being friends with her because of what she did. She has not tried to get back together with me like a rebound and has just been really supportive. That shows a lot about her character. X works in a hospital and is very attractive and nice, but she can be quite self-centered. In hindsight, we were basically just friends. She's on the pill and doesn't want to get pregnant, so we've only ever had protected sex. I guess I just accepted it and got too comfortable in the relationship. I never saw any signs she was cheating. I know I'm not perfect, but I've always been good to her. I cooked for her and did a lot around the house. I went on dates regularly and told her things about her to make her feel loved. After what I thought was a good night, I now question why, if she did not want me, she stayed for this long. My plan was to call her this morning to say my flight would be leaving earlier, and could she pick me up at the airport earlier, with the airport being a 40-minute drive. I could use the time it takes to walk up the minute driveway to pack my things and put them in my car. That way I can avoid any awkwardness when she notices my things are missing. She'll probably try to call or message me, but I'll just respond with a photo of the 2 of them in bed. After reading some comments, I decided the most cruel thing to do would be to have no closure. I think the best thing for her would be to have no closure. I'll explain my circumstances to the property manager and go and stay with a friend until I find a new place. X can cover the rent. She can certainly afford it. I do have the option of staying with Y, but that's too close to my ex, and I don't want to do anything that could ruin our friendship. I know it's inevitable that I'll end up with her, but I still went up very early in the morning and very quietly opened the door. Fortunately, they were asleep on the bed, so I took a photo of them. It was weird that I almost felt guilty about violating their privacy when my entire relationship was violated. I didn't feel sad anymore. I was just angry. I noticed what would have been his shoes on the floor next to my various, much larger pairs. I decided to take a photo of those and use it first. I figured it would be a more subtle way to catch her in a lie until I could show her the photo of them in bed. I went back down to Y's and waited around for another hour or so until I was certain she would. I tried to call, but there was no answer. I called again and again, there was no answer. I checked, and it turned out that we both knew what was going on. After about half an hour, she called and sounded very awake and like everything was normal. I tried to sound normal and told her my flight was leaving 2 hours earlier than I thought, and could she pick me up at 1 p.s. I'll be there at p.m. She said yes and that she loved me. She said she was at her parents' for breakfast and that they said hello. On that note, her parents love me and will be broken about this. I went and lay down for a few hours to think about what I would get from the apartment, other than clothes and a few appliances. Most of my stuff was already boxed because I knew that if we bought a house, I wanted an easy move. Around midday, I saw X go down to the car park and gave it a few minutes after she left before I moved on. I got the car and went upstairs. The place smelled like air freshener, and I noticed the new sheets and covers on the bed, as well as the dishes. She went to great lengths to cover up that anyone else was ever there. It took me all of 10 minutes to gather my things. If I forgot anything, I probably didn't care about it. It felt weird knowing it would be a goodbye to the place I called home, but I felt strong. X sent me a message asking where I was. She was at the arrivals area. I replied and said I was held up and that I would Uber home maybe an hour later. I had a few missed calls and her messages saying, "Where is all my stuff and has something happened?" I nearly had a heart attack when I sent the photo of the shoes saying these aren't my size. She had the nerve to reply saying they were her brother's from when he picked her up to go to mom and dad's. Did I not say she would pull something like that? I didn't even want to discuss it, but I knew she was cornered. So I sent the photo of "I've sent them the photo" and left it at that. She didn't even try to call, as I was expecting a bunch of calls or texts. That's me leaving her, and I know I could have called her out or caught them in the act. But I wanted her to know I knew, and that she'd never be able to know how or explain herself. I won't tarnish her name because it's not in my nature, and I don't want to ruin her life. But she can live with this forever, even though I doubt she has a conscience. I've left it at that because I think it's the right thing to do. I know my ex will be down to see her soon, and I'm at my friend's place nearby collecting today's rundown to relay to you all. If it weren't for this, it would have been a lot harder, but I know she'll sever her friendship with my ex in the next day or two. I'm doing well and looking ahead. This hurt at first, but I'm glad I found out now and not after we bought a home. I've sent an email to the property manager informing her of our sudden split and that she'd be covering the rent until the lease ends. I think the pain for X will be when Y and I begin our inevitable relationship. P.S. I'm really resisting the urge to go to the gym and throw hands. Top comments. Scary Inspector 8315 says, "Dude, please don't cover anything for her. Blow her world up before she plays the victim card and turns this against you. Especially since it seems you and Y will be getting together. She will claim you cheated on her first. This good boy high ground route always gets men screwed. Drop this, good boy. Your attitude and the way you deal with her are important. Showing kindness to your enemy is being cruel to yourself. 7731 is right to be worried. Take your time and see a therapist. Focus on yourself. Let's move on to the second cheating story. My wife wanted to open our marriage. This destroyed her life. I was married for 2 years at the time. Life is a serious ticking time bomb. I get at least 20 messages a day. We are both in our early 22nd. We started sending messages about open marriages. After a few long talks about how we are young and should try this before we are old and have kids, I give in and set up some boundaries. No unprotected sex, 2, nothing in our house, and no overnight stays. If sex occurs with someone else, there are no details and no touching between us for 30 days. We also have to see a doctor and get cleared before any intimacy between us. She starts going on dates on Friday nights. I work, so I get home normally around 10 p.m. For the first year, it was kind of fun. She goes out on a date by the time I get home, or she's already home, or getting home at the same time. She tells me what they did on the date and she jumps me. They are just dates, no sex or intimacy during this first year. I go on 3 dates myself. Each one goes the exact same way. They find out I am married, and it is not what they're looking for. It was nice meeting you after 3 dates. I quit then. One Friday night, she doesn't get home until like 3 a.m. She comes in, makes a joke about being too sore and tired for anything. I see some hickey marks on her chest and thigh. I have to admit, I was hurt and upset by this. I don't remember exactly when, but she tries to initiate something with me. I remind her of rule number 3. She gives me the, "Are you serious?" look. 30 days and a doctor's visit later, she said yes, and she was deadly serious. This became a pattern for us. She goes out with her bad boy on Friday nights, has her fun, and then spends the rest of the week trying to get me to change rule number 3. It feels like she put me on a shelf. I started avoiding her and working more out of the house, even if it was just for a walk. I became a lot more. I've been trying to get more active and lose weight. She's caught up in the excitement of a new relationship and doesn't notice. She thinks I'm out doing my own thing. I've been on the back burner for months. I'm not seeing a reason to stay in this marriage. I was selling my happiness so she could be happy. I was running out of things to sell. At this point, she hasn't crossed any boundaries. Every time I suggest she step back from him, I realize I'm overreacting and blowing this way out of proportion. It's just some fun one night a week. On our 4th wedding anniversary, I take the day off work, make her dinner and clean the house. She gets home from work at 4, she gets in the shower, gets dressed up, and tells me she's going to a bar to see a local band and not to wait up. She completely forgot about our anniversary. I'm pretty upset about it. I wake up on Saturday morning at 9 a.m., and she never came home. Boundary number 2 broken. I sent her one simple text: "You have broken our boundary of no slipping over. I am done at 11. On the 30th, she calls to say she'd just closed her eyes for a second and passed out. It was an accident. I'm so sorry. My unwillingness to even talk about it causes her to wake up out of her fog. She ends up coming to my work just before we open, making a scene in front of the whole staff and the owners. I'm finally able to calm her down enough and she leaves. I promised on Sunday we could discuss it. I got home from work on Saturday night, and she tried to have sex with me again and told me rule number 3. She then told me she would no longer be seeing him and wants to close the marriage and work on reconnecting with me. She freaked out when she woke up and saw my texts. He made fun of her and she realized how much of a hole he really was. She tries to be intimate with me every day and it doesn't work. I don't need her, want her, or desire her. She's just a roommate. After 30 days she goes to the doctor and gets checked out. She's clean of diseases but is pregnant. I'm not sure where her mind was. But then she comes home excited and tells me we are pregnant. I tell her, "Good, I hope you two will be happy together." She pauses for a few minutes and then starts crying. A few days later she sends him a text saying his response is, "Wow, sucks to be you. You might want to pass it off as." I filed for divorce soon after she started trying to change my mind about it. She promised, she begged, she pleaded. She offered everything under the sun, asking for a chance to fix us. I was polite and nice about it, but I wasn't having any of it. I'm stuck living with her for now. We stayed together for a while until our lease was up. She tried to be intimate with me, but I turned her down. She got upset, so I went for a run. I was starting to resent her, just like her baby bump. 3 weeks ago, she came into my room to talk. She'd brought home pizza for dinner. She started with, "She's pregnant and super horny, and she keeps trying to have sex with me." I'm running out of patience. I tell her, "Sorry, I'm not into fat chicks." So, I try Tinder. I find someone who's down for it. She leaves the room crying. We had our first divorce hearing after the judge ordered 6 weeks of marriage counseling. We went to 2 sessions. It was a kind of meet and greet thing. They talked to us separately to get our stories. I guess I just want this over so we can move on with our lives. Last Sunday was my birthday. On that Friday, she asked me to spend my birthday with her to celebrate it. I turned her down. She's been pushing the subject and I snapped. I told her I don't waste special occasions on her anymore. The last one was our 4th anniversary, which she spent getting knocked up by some pothead loser. I left her crying in the kitchen. I went to work and told her I would see her on Monday for our court order. It was a waste of time. Monday morning I was at marriage counseling. I've been going to counseling, but she never shows up. I've been calling her, but she never responds. I've been calling her friends and parents, but they haven't been able to reach her. She was arrested on Sunday morning for DUI and reckless endangerment, and they're on their way. I've offered our house for them to stay at. I have a couch at a friend's house. My lawyer has gone to the judge and expedited things. My divorce is final. It was finalized this past Friday. Yesterday I helped them pack some of her stuff. Today I'm going to help them load a U-Haul. They've rented a van to take her home, and she's getting released tomorrow. She wants to see me, but I don't think it'll help. We both need to move on. Despite what GH6 Saint says, I think we're both better off. I bet if you'd stayed together, you'd still be married to her now. She'd have tried to pass the baby off as yours if you were having sex. Best of luck to you. My guy, you did the right thing. Keep it up. You'll find someone who only wants you. The funny thing is, you stuck to the rules and gave her every chance to improve, but she broke every single one. Number 3, she tried consistently to break the rules, showing a complete lack of respect. Imagine that she had everything handed to her exactly as she wanted it, and it wasn't enough. Then she thought you would still stay with her after she broke every rule. But you didn't, and you're a real hero for that. I really saw this story going another way, but this was the best outcome. You got rid of a miserable person who tried to take advantage of you every single step of the way. Corky Macaroon 7999 says not to sign the birth certificate and to ask your lawyer how to get out of paying child support. You would. You need to show the DNA test to prove you're not the father, and don't claim the kid is yours. Otherwise, the courts might force you to pay child support. Check with your lawyer about kids born with another father during the marriage. The OP replies, my lawyer said I'm free and clear. I'm just feeling emotional today. I've been crying, but I'm not sure why.